Hi everyone, welcome back. In this video, let us understand what is a Kafka topic. So in the previous video, we saw how things actually work by understanding the Kafka architecture. But here in this video, let's take Kafka topic, Kafka partitions and offset as an example and dig more into these concepts to understand them even better. All right, so first let's understand what are Kafka topics. So similar to how databases have tables, we have something called as topics. So tables in your database world is equivalent to topics in Kafka ecosystem, right? So Kafka uses the concept of topics to organize related messages. So it is going to organize the related messages using Kafka topics. Now, a topic is identified by its name. It's always identified by its name. So you just need to remember this. For example, we may have a topic called logs that may contain log messages from our application. So let's assume that this is our Kafka cluster. And here we will have multiple, topics, right? So we will have logs, we will have, other topics as well, like let's say purchases, we have another one called orders. So this itself is a Kafka cluster, and this one that you see, the box, is a topic, right? So this is how you identify a Kafka topic. And it might contain any other topics. For example, as you can see here, we have purchases that may contain purchases data from our application as it happens, right? So Kafka topics can contain any kind of messages in any format. It can contain any messages in any format. So that's very, very crucial. Any format. And the sequence of all the message is called as data stream. So the sequence of all these messages constantly called as data stream. So which is very, very important terminology that we are going to use in future as well. And you need to remember one more thing. Unlike database tables, Kafka topics are not queryable. So you cannot query a table or you cannot query a topic, unlike you have that capability in database, right? So instead, we have to create a Kafka producer to send the data to a topic, and Kafka consumers to read the data from the topic in order. So we will talk about producers and consumers in the coming videos. So hold on till the very end, and please follow this entire sequence of the videos that I'm going to produce. So then it will be more clearer to as well. And data in Kafka topics is deleted after 1 week. So data will be deleted automatically after 1 week by default. So this is the default behavior. And you might ask me if I will be able to configure this. Of course, you will be able to configure this and change it as well. So this it is configurable. And also this is called as message retention period. So the time to which you are going to retain your message, it's called as message retention period, MRP, right? And its value is always configurable, like I mentioned. So this mechanism of deleting old data ensures Kafka cluster does not run out of disk space by recycling topics over the time. So that's what we have for Kafka topics. I hope it is clear. Now let's learn another terminology called Kafka partitions. So it is Kafka partitions. So you might be hearing a lot about Kafka topics and partitions. Now what are Kafka partitions? So topics are broken down into number of partitions. So topics will be broken down into number of partitions, though that is nothing but your partitions, right? A single topic may have more than one partition. It can contain more than one, right? So it doesn't mean that you will have to go with only one partition. So you can have one or more than one partition. It's common to see topics with more than 100 partitions in production and things like that, right? So the number of partitions in a topic is specified at the time of topic creation. Whenever you create a topic, you will specify the number of partitions that you require at that stage itself. And partitions are numbered starting from 0 to n minus 1, 0 to n minus 1. So this is one thing that you need to note, and n is your number of partitions, so which is very crucial. So let's say you are going to select partitions as 3, then your n minus 1 would be 2, right? So the partition numbered will be starting from 0 to n minus 1, which is 3 minus 1, which is 2, right? So that's how you number your partition. So you can take an analogy. For example, let's take this Kafka topic here. Okay. So feel free to make this video into 5x or 2x mode, because I'm going to write and explain it, so it might take a little bit more time. So you can divide this topics into partition. Let's say partition 0, partition 1, and partition 2. And here you will have, let's draw this box. Here the numbering starts. So the message will come here, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. So it can go on, and this will be written as and when the data will be coming. And similarly, it happens to the partition 1 as well. You have the message log here, and the data keeps coming, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on, right? So the write will continue here. Similarly for the partition 2 as well, where the data will keep on adding, right? So this is how actually the logs or the message will be written into a Kafka topic. All right. So we use one other terminology called offset. So the offset is an integer value that Kafka adds to each message as it's written into a topic. So whenever the data will be added into your partition, or it will be added into your partition, so a message with an integer value will be added. So that integer value is nothing but your offset. So offset number will decide like which location the data exactly was written, right? And another important thing I forgot to mention is that Kafka topics are immutable. So let me talk about this one. It is immutable, meaning once data is written into a partition, it cannot be changed. So this is very, very important thing that you need to note. It differs a lot from other similar technologies. So I'm mentioning that Kafka topics are immutable, right? So that's about it. Now let's understand what are Kafka offsets, right? So we discussed about Kafka topics, and we discussed about partitions as well. Now let's understand what are Kafka offsets. All right. Apache Kafka offsets represents the position of a message within the Kafka partition. As I told you, it represents the position of a message in the Kafka partition. And offset numberings for every partition starts at 0. So it always starts with 0, and it's incremented for each message sent to a specific Kafka partition. As and when the messages are being sent, this number will keeps on increasing, and it will be applied to a specific partition as well. This means that Kafka offsets only have a meaning for a specific partition. For example, offset 3 in partition 0 does not represent the same data as of offset 3 in partition 1 or partition 2 or any other partition. I hope that is clear. Now let's understand some parts of Kafka offset ordering, which is very crucial as well. So if a topic has more than one partition, Kafka guarantees the order of messages within the partition. That is really, really important. So ordering is guaranteed within the partition. Ordering is guaranteed within the partition. But there is no ordering of messages across the partition. So across the partition, ordering is not guaranteed. Across the partition, ordering is not guaranteed. So this is very, very important. Across the partition, the ordering is not guaranteed at all, at any cost, right? So that's very, very important thing. Even though we know the messages in Kafka topics are deleted over time, as I explained, that the default number is 1 week. So the offsets are not reused, meaning any other message cannot be using the same offset value, right? So they continually are incremented in a never ending sequence. So that's very crucial point that you need to note. And I think that's all I had for this video, where I covered Kafka topics, Kafka partitions, and Kafka offsets. So in the coming videos, we will take another topic and we go deep into it and understand how things work. So as I mentioned earlier, if you're liking the content that I'm creating, please consider subscribing and share it with your friends. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one.